Hi again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com, and this is another episode of Ask the Lawyer. Today we're going to ask the lawyer about motorcycle accidents, and specifically in the state of California. And here to answer our questions is attorney Claude Wyle of the San Francisco personal injury law firm Cholos, and Wyle, and his firm has extensive experience in handling motorcycle accident cases. So, Claude, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you making some time for us.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm guessing you have lots of motorcycle riders in California, which unfortunately also means lots of accidents, correct?
I think we may have more motorcycle riders than any other state, and sadly, that also means we have a lot of collisions and a lot of injuries.
So if I'm a motorcycle rider, I'm involved in an accident, what type of insurance is going to cover? Is it my typical automobile insurance? Is there special motorcycle insurance? What do I need there?
Your auto insurance, if you have it, will not cover you if you are injured in the event of a motorcycle collision. You need motorcycle insurance to be covered in California for anything that happens to you on a motorcycle.
And what type of insurance do I need? I assume the uninsured motorist, underinsured motorist. Do I need all that similar to with the automobile insurance?
Well, too many of our clients come to us and they're injured and they've suffered substantial, severe injuries. And I ask, well, did you have insurance? Because in California, if you don't have at least liability insurance, you cannot collect anything for pain and suffering. All you get are your out-of-pocket expenses like your medical bills and your wage loss. So you need insurance. But the problem is most motorcyclists just want to be legal. And so they buy the minimum. And that doesn't do anything to protect them at all. So really what you want to do before you head out on the road is to buy as much insurance as you possibly can get. And I know that's counterintuitive if you don't have a house or a lot of assets, but really what we're talking about is it's to protect yourself, not your assets. If somebody is hurt in a motorcycle collision and they lose their ability to earn a living, they're going to need compensation. And let's face it, most motorists, most auto drivers don't have enough insurance to compensate a motorcyclist if he or she is really badly hurt. So you want to buy the biggest uninsured, underinsured coverage you can get. And you can't get big uninsured, underinsured coverage unless you get big liability coverage because they tend to match. So let me tell you what uninsured motorist coverage is.
Great.
Uninsured motorist coverage covers you in the event that the person who hurts you either doesn't have insurance or hits and runs. So then your insurance company would step into the shoes of the person who hurt you. So your insurance company, who was your friend, is now the opposition. Underinsured motorist coverage is where the other person had some insurance, but just not enough to compensate you. And that is, by and large, the vast majority of our cases, the person who hits and hurts a motorcyclist does not have enough coverage really to fully compensate them. So we're always waiting on pins and needles. How much coverage did this person have? Because most of our clients come in with some serious injuries. So underinsured coverage makes up the difference between your policy limits and the limits of the person who hit you. So let's say they only had a $15,000 policy, which is the minimum in California.
Okay.
If the motorcyclist has a $250,000 underinsured limit, they would get an additional $235,000 from their own insurance.
And I think a reality is, if there's an accident between a motorcycle and a car or a truck, the injuries to the motorcycle rider tend to be more serious than to the other drivers, just by the fact of the different size of the vehicles, correct?
A really hard reality is that motorcycle fatalities from collisions are about 4 times higher than car accidents. People in cars don't tend to get hurt because they've got that cage around them. They've got all that steel. They are protected. People on motorcycles tend to suffer much more serious injuries, and much more often they suffer fatalities. You really need to protect yourself. I don't know. I don't want to swear, but when I was a young lawyer, before I had a house, before I had anything, I called up my insurance company and said, I need more coverage. I need bigger coverage. And they asked me about my assets. And I said, it's not my assets I'm worried about, it's my ass.
Exactly.
because I can lose whatever I have right now. But if I can't make a living, then I've got nothing for my whole future. It's your own underinsured coverage that protects you if you're really hurt badly and it's on a permanent basis.
So as we're talking about protection, obviously we talked about getting as much insurance as you can. Obviously there's protection as far as your gear. Another level of protection is if you're in an accident, how important is it to contact an attorney who's experienced with motorcycle accidents and can help you through that process?
Well, I don't think a lawyer needs to be a motorcycle rider to handle the case. The law is pretty straightforward for all kinds of cases. Mm-hmm. But I've been told over the last 35 years that our knowledge at our firm of the dynamics of motorcycle collisions and how to put together a motorcycle case puts us at a very significant advantage over the opposition. So you don't have to know how to ride a motorcycle. You don't have to understand the dynamics from a personal level, but it really helps. And you really get better results if you really know what's going on. I just got off the phone interviewing a young man who was suffered a bad arm injury just 10 minutes ago. And I'm able to ask him questions in 10 minutes that get right to the point to tell me whether he has a good case or not. Many lawyers who don't ride might take a case and lead somebody down the garden path where the case isn't that good, or they might not be able to recognize a great case. A good motorcycle lawyer is not only experienced, but creative. And if you have a reputation with the defense, lawyers and insurance companies as being kind of the go-to guy for motorcycle cases in your neighborhood, they're going to take you more seriously, because usually they try to get a discount for motorcycle cases, and Cholas & Wyle does not give discounts.
At what point of the process do I need to contact an attorney? Do I try to figure out if it's important, if it's necessary, or do I contact an attorney and let them help me figure that out?
It's really important to contact a lawyer absolutely as soon as you can. Let's face it, the personal injury lawyer, the motorcycle lawyer, is on what's called a contingency fee, right, or a success fee. We don't get paid if we don't win. So we get the same percentage whether you call us 3 days after the accident or 3 months after the accident. Problem is, after 3 months, you've already given interviews to the insurance company. A lot of the evidence may not have been preserved, and your case won't be as strong. As a matter of fact, people who try to do it themselves often mess things up in ways that they don't understand, because the insurance company who's representing the person who hurt the motorcyclist, they're not doing you any favors. They're developing their case. You call a lawyer right away to develop your case. Preserve the evidence that you will need down the road to make your case stronger, better, and to be compensated fairly. If you let this stuff go, you will get less, and you won't be compensated fairly.
What about motorcycle safety laws, specifically in California, where you're familiar? What are there some uniqueness to the laws there in California? Do you feel like they are strict enough? Need to be more strict? What are your opinions there?
A motorcyclist is a vehicle, just like any other vehicle, but there are some laws that pertain strictly to motorcycles. The most famous one that stands out the very most is the law about lane sharing or lane splitting. Over decades in California, lane splitting has not been illegal, but it has not necessarily been legal. Just a few years ago, some friends of ours, and we were instrumental in getting this passed through consulting with our friend who was on the legislative committee, made lane splitting legal. And now we have an affirmative law we can point to show that it was legal. And although it's been legal or not illegal for years, but now affirmatively legal, motorcyclists still have to hold to what is safe and prudent. And there are guidelines as to what is safe and prudent. And we know that more than most people. Most of the time, if you have a lane splitting case, most lawyers will steer clear. They will refer them to us. We get calls all the time, several times a week, from other lawyers asking us about how do I win this motorcycle case. And it does really help to really know not only the law, but the history of the law, how the law came to be this way, what the guidelines are, what the police are going to say about what the motorcyclist did. And really, a lot of the times the police get it wrong. So some of our biggest cases have produced the best results in opposition to a police report that was 100% against our client.
This is great information today, Claude. I appreciate you taking some time to be with us, and I think you've helped a lot of people. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Claude Wyle of the firm Cholos, Wyle in San Francisco. Please take a minute to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the button at the bottom of the screen, and that way you'll know about future episodes. And if you want the best information about motorcycle accidents and the law, or you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, be sure to visit AskTheLawyers.com. I'm Rob Rosenthal for AskTheLawyers.com.